Welcome back, everyone. I'm Chris, your NFL writer here at OccupyFantasy.com, here with a look at the tight ends for the Week 2 slates on FanDuel and DraftKings this week. We're dropping these position preview videos every single week for the rest of the season, so make sure that you are subscribed to the channel below. You'll get notified when a new video is uploaded to the channel for you to check out. If you like the video that we did here today, would really appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up on it. Lets us know that you like it and want us to continue making stuff like this, so it is certainly appreciated. Do you have any questions for the staff? Obviously, the comment section below is the best place to start. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you do have there, but you're also welcome to join our Discord, where we have the Occupy staff, as well as all the subscribers to the Occupy Discord, talking about every single NFL DFS slate throughout the season. So that is definitely a good place to be to talk about the different things that we have for you here. The tight end position is pretty tough. I mean, every single week you can kind of guess how your opponents decided to construct their rosters solely based on what tight end they're using. It's basically they either paid up to the best ones that are available, or they're at the bottom of the salary table looking, to chase potential touchdown production. You don't see people typically selecting the tight ends in the middle range. The good news for you this week is there are a lot of guys priced in that middle range that feel like they're fairly usable still here in week 2. This is just stupid, though. I mean, let's look at what happened here on Monday Night Football in week 1. Darren Waller, 19 targets. I know the game went to overtime, so the raw numbers are a little skewed here, but he was targeted on over 30% of the routes that he had out there. Felt like the Raiders, John Gruden ran 3 tight end sets with his fullback out there for the majority of the game. So if you're a fan of the wide receivers here with the Raiders, you might be in for another tough season here in 2021, because most of the opportunity is going to go to Darren Waller, especially in low risk contests. I'm not going to complain or argue with anyone who is just kind of looking at Darren Waller's anticipated role and saying, let me just lock this in, start here, and build the rest of my lineup from here. Just understand that if you do that, the rest of your lineup sort of starts to follow a formula that people can kind of predict on you here. So Darren Waller, really the only tight end in this range in the salary table, especially with Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews not available on the main slate. So keep that in mind. 7,600 here on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel. By far, we project him for the most targets at the tight end position this week with 10. So Waller, a great play. Don't think we got what we wanted, truly, out of rookie sensation Kyle Pitts in week 1, but the underlying metrics were phenomenal. First thing that jumped out to me when I was looking at this stuff is that he only lined up in line, which is where basically a traditional tight end spot right there next to the offensive line, on just over 20% of his passing play routes. That means he did exactly what we expected, when the Falcons drafted him so highly for his athletic skill set. He was splitting out in either the slot or way out wide almost 80% of the time in that week 1 game against the Philadelphia Eagles. It would be foolish to expect that to change here against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be probably a much more pace-up situation in their division matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kyle Pitts looking like he's going to have another opportunity, for targets in that kind of 8, 9, 10 target range, and could be one of the keys to having a really, really, really fun Sunday afternoon and evening if you're playing NFL DFS. We project Kyle Pitts here for 7, 8 targets in the Occupy Fantasy model here in week 2. Losing Jerry Jeudy was tough. We're fans of Jerry Jeudy here at Occupy Fantasy, so with him being out with a high ankle sprain for a while, it just sort of elevates the role for all the other key players in this Broncos offense, Noah Fant included. His price is pretty reasonable still, $4,200 here on DraftKings this week, $5,700 over on FanDuel. He was targeted on about 26% of his routes that he ran during the week 1 game that they played. So definitely gotta like that here for Noah Fant as they head into a week 2 matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who did not look like they were prepared to stop the Houston Texans, a team that a lot of us think is definitely worse than the majority of the better teams in the NFL, and maybe even worse than Denver as well. So Fant looking like a strong play here because of his anticipated role staying the same with the Broncos. I'll be the first to tell you, we definitely had it dead wrong here at Occupy. I think a lot of people had this dead wrong across the industry. We did not anticipate Rob Gronkowski's role being just as strong as it was right here out of the gate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of people were looking at the early season usage from 2020 when O.J. Howard was healthy and sort of prognosticating and forecasting the situation where Gronk and O.J. Howard would be on the field fairly an equal amount of the time. That just did not even come close to happening. Gronk here was targeted on 24% of his routes and participated in like 90% roughly of the passing downs in this offense. So, in addition to all the great wide receivers that Tampa has, obviously Gronk here, who has just had such a strong connection with Tom Brady for several years, is still well in play and should be under consideration here in week 2 as they prepare for the Falcons. No more Gerald Everett to speak of, and no other real pass-catching tight end emerged, at least through 1 week of action, to worry about for the Los Angeles Rams. Tyler Higbee is going to be a great play if that continues. 4,100 here on DraftKings, 5,600 on FanDuel in week 2. He as well targeted on about a quarter of his routes that he ran in the week 1 game against the Chicago Bears. We project him for 6 targets this week. Tyler Higbee probably a little too cheap for his role based off of all of those factors. Certainly an interesting and intriguing player in this salary range as well. He was a darling of the dynasty community, and you know what? It hit. I would say that it hit. He didn't really give us fantasy points that we wanted in week 1, but Adam Troutman ran more routes, played more snaps than Juwan Johnson, who is the other tight end in this offense right now. Johnson got the touchdowns in week 1, but those are the metrics that matter more to us. Who's playing more, who's participating in the passing downs more. Adam Troutman was for the New Orleans Saints. $3,000 is a little too cheap for him here on DraftKings here in week 2. 4,500 over on the FanDuel side of things. Troutman gives you a lot of flexibility with the rest of your lineup. Probably not going to be a super popular play. We only project him for about 3.6 targets in the Occupy model here, so 3-4 target range, but plenty of upside here if he keeps playing that frequently throughout the rest of the season. Hopefully, at least here in week 2, we get to see that happen. Those are kind of the main guys that we're looking at for tight end. I did want to touch on a couple of things. We saw a complete goose egg from Mike Gesicki of the Dolphins in week 1 against the Patriots. Gesicki for a while now has been sort of dinged by the analyst community for not being the best pass blocker. So the speculation is that was sort of what led to him not playing as frequently against the Patriots. Did have some targets in that game, didn't do anything with them. I would pump the brakes on panicking about this player. I think he's going to have his opportunities to shine. Week 2 probably of the high-risk only variety, but Gesicki is still out there, still playing. Hopefully he sees a little bit of a bigger role once they feel a little bit better about their personnel on the offensive line. I don't think that this group of tight ends is one that we can do much with safely right now. David Njoku ran, I want to say it was about 15 routes. Hooper was right there with 14 to 15 routes of his own against the Chiefs. And even Harrison Bryant ran like 9 routes. So this looks like a position where the Browns are going to mix and match personnel. While it was an Njoku game in week 1, maybe a Hooper game in week 2, maybe a Bryant game, right? So just the Browns are going to be tough to suss out every single week while this usage continues at the tight end position. We kind of feel like it's definitely high risk only, but it might even just be in a void until we get a little more clarity from Cleveland on how they prefer to use this personnel. That's going to do it for this rundown, folks. For more information, keep an eye out for the daily plug at OccupyFantasy.com, where we will give you our favorite expensive and value plays here at the tight end position. Probably be a lot of the guys that we talked about in this video, but it will not be all of them, which is why you should check it out. The plug will also include some recommendations for every other position, some game stack ideas, contest recommendations, and most importantly, your low risk and high risk general roster construction tips tailored to the context of the players here on the week 2 slate. So do not miss that. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel below. If you are, you will get notified when we upload more videos like this throughout the rest of the season. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up on it. It lets us know that you enjoyed what we did here today. Lots of things going on the Occupy Fantasy YouTube channel to check out. Obviously, we will be back with more position previews for week 3, so be sure to join us for that. If you have any questions, please comment on the video below. Is there a tight end we didn't touch on here that you'd like to hear more about? We'd be happy to reply in the comments. can also join our Discord channel where we have Occupy staff members and different members of the Occupy Fantasy website discussing the plays for every single slate throughout the entire season. So certainly check that out if that's something that you are interested in as well. Once again, for Occupy, I'm Chris. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll talk to you soon.